Real Men Talk Show. To those that's coming on, please like and share. We got an amazing show for you tonight. For those that's tuning in, please like and share, like and share. Welcome to the Real Man Talk Show. My name is Leotis Hightower. I'm here with my co-host, Brother Sean Davis. What's up, Brother Sean?
What's going on, my brother? How you doing this evening? How's everybody out there tonight?
Man, I'm doing good. Thank you for asking, man. Just had a busy week, and tonight, man, we got a hell of a show. And to y'all that tune into the Real Man Talk Show, we talk about problems, but we also like to talk about solutions. And the gist of the Real Man Talk Show, we like to bring men together to talk about problems and talk about solutions. But also, me and Brother Sean realized there was a lot of men, such as our peers and friends, that had issues. And we realized as men that sometimes we just don't talk about these problems. And because of that, we end up spiraling out of control and sometimes making not the best decisions. So we decided to come up with the Real Man Talk, where men can come together, have a safe haven, and talk about things. So tonight, what we're going to be talking about is custody battles. To those that's listening, share if you think this is going to benefit someone, because realize there's a lot of men that wants to be active and try to be active in their kids' life. And seem like the good ones that try to do that end up getting the short end of the stick. So tonight, we'll be talking about that because personally, I know I have a lot of friends and know a lot of men who's very active, but it's either an issue whether it's visitation, it's an issue whether it's custody, or maybe an issue with child support, or all three. But nevertheless, most men want to be active with their kids, and it becomes a big issue when they can't be active, and it just causes other issues. And you got to get the lawyers involved, you got to get the judges involved, and so with that being said, at the end of the show, we're going to be bringing up attorney Bo Bowen from Bowen's law firm, and we're going to be talking about the ins and outs of attaining custody. We'll also talk about how to find a lawyer, how to find the best lawyer, and what to look for. And he's going to tell you it can be many advantages and disadvantages when you're seeking custody. So we're going to talk about that. But that's what we're talking about tonight. So if you know someone that's going to benefit, please like and share and inform them and bring them onto this channel. With that being said, Brother Sean, what you think about the whole issue when it comes to the custody thing? Because you and I have been in similar boats. I would say I've been blessed and lucky. I didn't have those issues when it came to custody. Probably some other issues, but not custody and visitation. What would you say about that, man?
Speaking from experience now, just putting it out there. You and I have talked about this. You know my story. My ex has kept my second youngest son from me. Just literally pulled him out of school one day and disappeared for 2.5 years. Then brought him back to Tulsa, I was able to see him for a while. Now, again, I've not seen my son in 2.5 more years since I had the opportunity to be around him. And it's strictly because, and her words to me were, if I don't come back to her and put our family together and leave my wife, that which is my girl at the time, she would make sure I would never see my kid again. So that's my story. So I'm familiar with it, but I feel for the brothers. Now I'm able to here in the near future take her to court and get that custody and visitation arranged. But a lot of brothers don't have the ability to do that because number one, they pay in child support, so they always short. Now, when you pay in child support, then turn around and have to try to save the money to get a lawyer, man, that's a crushing thing to an individual. And a lot of brothers are going through that. And all I can tell you, brother, is keep your head up and always understand anytime you get a chance to speak to that child, just reiterate the fact that you love them, you miss them, and you cannot wait to be able to spend time with them. Don't badmouth the mother. Don't, no matter what, don't badmouth the mother because that's still that child's mother. But just let them know, hey, I hope you see what's going on. I love you and I miss you, and I will be back with you soon. But it's just too many brothers out there that want to be a part of their kid's life and they're not allowed to be.
So let me ask you, with that being said, and you gave some good points, and I would say not good. They're probably debatable when you say don't talk bad about the mother. It makes sense, but how do you not talk bad when you're hurting and you're in pain, and you know this person is intentionally hurting you as well as your seed? How do you not say nothing bad in that? What do you do for resiliency not to even say nothing bad?
And when I say don't say nothing bad, don't besmirch the mother. Don't talk negative about her. Your mother's, and excuse my French, but your mother's a hoe, a bitch, she's trifling, whatever. Don't go that route. What I simply told my son is, look, I know your mother's trying her damnedest to keep you away from me. It's not going to work. It's going to end. But in the meantime, I just need you to know I truly love you. I miss you dearly. And I will get this worked out to where this won't be an issue. You can let the child know what's going on, especially if they're old enough to fully understand and see for themselves. But what I'm saying is don't go in front of that child talking bad about that mother. No matter what, that's still that child's mother. No matter what they do, just keep it straight and civil. So no matter what, that child will always look at you and be like, he kept it 100 with me, but he didn't dog anybody else out. And that child will look for themselves and see for themselves who the real bad person is in that whole scenario.
Let me ask you this, brother. And first of all, I want to applaud you and thank you for even sharing your story. I know your story, but the whole world didn't know your story. How have you been able to manage and cope, man, considering that you said you ain't seen your son in almost 2 years, knowing that he lives right there in the same city that you live in,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't even put eyes or even put your hands on it?
Sneaking pictures here and there, having my oldest daughter sneak conversations with him when I can. She has to literally take him out of the house and sneak him somewhere to talk to me when she can get away from her mother. But the mother is so overprotective and so hell bent on keeping me away. Now I've asked several times, hey, let's work this out. Let's get the visitation started back again correctly. Doesn't want to work. So now I have to go the route of going on and paying for a lawyer and going through the court. But yeah, it's been difficult. It's been difficult to hear from other people that my son is now playing the drums and in the band, and I don't even know what school he goes to. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass and it's hurtful. But I look at it like this. I'll sacrifice a little now so that when I get my court ordered visitation restored again, there's nothing she can do. And then I can reestablish my full relationship with my seed and move forward and understand that he knows I never gave up on him and I never let him go by the wayside and I didn't get rid of him for a new life. That's the thing I always encourage brothers to do too. Don't ever let your child feel like you gave up on them.
I like that, man, and I wish you nothing but success with that, man. And once again, I applaud you because some brothers can't keep it together the way you keep it together and still going with life, and you still want the relationship and you're still trying to fight for it. So thank you, brother.
Appreciate it, brother. And be honest with you, brother, I have to say, yes, I'm handling it, but it is also helpful that I have a mate that, hey, I understand how you're feeling, but don't go do this.
Right.
Let's just let it work itself out, and then let's move into that realm where we need to go on and get legal representation to get it straight. Because I'm gonna tell you, many a times I wanted to go over there and just knock the door down, and what the hell you gonna do? I'm taking my son, but that's again another way for her to act a fool, because if I go over there acting a fool, what's gonna happen? She gonna call in police, and then my black ass gonna be in jail.
Yeah. Before we bring up one of the special guests, one of the audience stated women have privileges when it comes to child custody, which is the thing that needs to be changed. Men are just as important as women. Brother Marvin Lockett, I would say I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, man. I think women have a lot of privileges that most men don't have when it comes to just being equal for us parenting. It's very biased, very different. And I can share many stories because once upon a time I was a single parent as well. I never forget. I'm gonna tell this quick story before I even bring our special guest up. When I was enrolling my kids in school, me and the clerk kind of had a little battle because she was surprised I was enrolling my kids in school. So she wanted to ask me, did I have a child support, not child support, but a child custody paperwork. At the time, I didn't have the paperwork because it was in boxes. I had just moved all the way, coming from Iraq actually, and just found a place to stay, so it was in boxes. But me and her ended up having a conflict because she didn't want to enroll the kids because she was assuming that I was so-called, I guess you can call kidnapping my kids. But once again, that goes back, as I told her, if I was a woman, would you be asking me this question? And she kind of got quiet and couldn't answer the question, but that goes back to the double standards right there. We don't have some of them privileges, and sometimes we got to go above and beyond and still don't get justice at the end.
Yep. So, well, like my story, brother, I had my kids for 5 years, 4 kids by myself. And the minute she decides to take the youngest 2 away, the court still sided with her and gave her custody. So, again, it's a bias built in toward the woman.
Right. Well, let's bring up our special guest. Our special guest actually is a good friend of mine, entrepreneur. Him and I was actually in Iraq together. And what makes it so unique, we was over there, man, dodging bullets, dodging from getting killed, trying to take care of so-called mission over there in Iraq. And this guy decided he was going to do something that I've never heard of. He decided he was going to stay in Iraq for another additional year. And he decided to do that because he wanted to get custody of his daughter. So he pretty much put his life on the line for a whole nother year just to build up enough money so he can have a case to come back and get his daughter. And I'm going to bring him up and let him talk more about this story. But him and I have been knowing each other for a long time. And I didn't watch him work it from when it comes to the legal thing, working it, trying to get custody and visitation rights. That has been very challenging and very goddamn pocket draining. But I want to bring up none other than Mr. Daniel Salley.
Hey, good evening, folks. How's everything going?
Good evening, brother.
Yeah, I heard your story, Mr. Davis, and hey, hats off to you, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Hats off to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So I want to ask you, man, in Iraq, once again, we was back in there in 2007 to 2008 when it was the surge. And we had a lot of stuff going on. And made it out there alive, but you decided when we was about to leave that you was going to stay there for a whole nother year. And you and I talked about this, and you was talking about how much you care for your daughter, how much you loved your daughter, how much you missed her, and that you really need to get custody of her, so you was going to stay there for another year. Tell us what made you decide to even do that, and tell us about the process that you took to obtain to get her.
Man, I think, come from my background, and I tell Leo, you can probably vouch for this, but, when you come from a background to where, you're a foster kid, when you don't get the love that you get, you would like to make sure that you can give your seed the love that you didn't get. So that was part of my drive throughout the whole outlook of why I decided to stay in Iraq for 2 years straight. So the monetary factor was, every time you go to court, you're looking at it anywhere from $2,500 to $4,500 for the lawyer. just for nothing. So if you don't do your research prior to going in there and trying to figure out what documentation you need to have and things of that, when you bring it to the court to give your lawyer some ammunition, you just waste the money. And it took me actually about 7 years to actually fine tune and figure all that stuff out. But you know, I had a great support system throughout the years. I had great friends like Leotis. I mean, we've known each other since 2007, man, and you know, having each other's back is real important whenever you're going through situations like that, because it's easy to pop off and flip and go kick that door down like Mr. Davis had said earlier. But I tell you, it's just, you really got to be resilient when you're trying to be there for your children, because it's easy to make that mistake and do the wrong thing. And it takes a real strong person to not do the wrong thing. But just to caveat on what he had said earlier, regardless of what you do, try not to, you know, disrespect the child's mother or talk bad about the mother. And I carried that for like 16 years. I ain't never want to cuss around her, nothing, that kind of stuff, because I ain't want it to affect me when I came to court. But after all those years went by, man, I don't give a shoot. I cuss out in a minute. Not me, bro. Those days are gone. I'm letting her get the business. Those days are gone. You get it? The crazy part is, because I didn't do that all those years, when I finally did do it, that's when I got the respect from the mother. Then that person, then she apologized to me for all that, saying that I know you was a great dad and I just didn't know how to handle it myself and blah, 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 and all this and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't up until I went off and cussed her ass out. But
so let me ask you,
great.
what made you decide? Because you said you stayed another year. What made you decide that you was a better fit for us getting custody of your child? What made you come up with that?
Well, it wasn't that I necessarily came up with it. It's how my daughter was treated. You know, I mean, I'll be candid with it. My daughter had like yeast infections, ringworms, every tooth in her mouth looked like my beard, looked like my mustache, rotten.
At what age?
This was since she was born. She wasn't being taken care of, and I couldn't do anything about it until like she was almost 7, and that's right after I got back from Iraq. I spent like $3,500 to get her teeth fixed. But the crazy part is, her mom was in the Army. I paid for the dental. It was free. And on top of that, her mom was a nurse. Can't make this up, man. And an Army officer. I couldn't make this up, bro. I couldn't make this up. But yeah, so it was driving because I didn't want my daughter. Go ahead.
The child was being neglected. That's why you were seeking custody.
Correct. Well, I mean, I was seeking custody because I know I could be a great parent.
Right.
But it's just, you know, when your priorities are above your own child, then it's like when you're holding your child as a hostage, like Mr. Davis probably can attest to.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I want to be with you don't mean you can keep my child from me. And sometimes the resentment, if you can't get to the person you want to be with, I'll take it out on the child.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll neglect the child, and it ends up hurting the child more. So that child's going to end up really resenting that parent who kept that child from that person who really has been showing and trying. But the key is because it's hearsay. Remember, they stay with that person 24/7. So anything they say, they tend to believe unless you have the proof. Now, if you got the proof of all the documentation, all the pictures, all the doctor statements, police reports, you got all that for misvisitation or disappearing, then that holds a lot of weight when they get a little bit older.
So tell us, how was you able to win custody? Because after you're doing 2 years, you came back here and you obtained a lawyer, I'm assuming. Well, I don't know if you obtained a lawyer, but how was you able to get custody? Because you did get custody, right?
Correct. So here's how it went. So after 7 years of trying to figure out what was I doing wrong, because you walk into the courthouse and they be like, yeah, whatever, she's the mother, goodbye, have a good day. But I started figuring out that, okay, I need to handle this with a different approach. So I started buying books. I bought a book, How to Win Child Custody, and it taught me a lot about documenting and getting statements and getting reports, and always having a camera on me and taking pictures of everything and having visual evidence of what I was talking about, and date timestamps on that. With the whenever you send an email, print it out, or if you had the statements from the police department, you have those, you print those out with the date and all that good stuff. But and also the phone records. Anytime you call, they will let the duration of the call, or if they wouldn't even answer, any of that stuff. I kept copies of all of that. So I had it basically look like a SOP, a support standard operation procedure, or a MO, basically like a workbook of all my documents, and it was categorized, tabbed, everything with the pictures in the small print. Then they were blown up to 8x11s, so it was no doubt whatever was in that picture was in that picture. So when I got to court, I had 4 copies, one for the judge, and I'm talking about these binders was this big, bro, like 5 inches big, and the judge got a copy, my lawyer had a copy, I had my own personal copy, and her lawyer got a copy. When I pulled that out, it was game over. It was game over. So the key is he say, she say, unless you got the proof. Now, if you got the proof that they're being neglected, then you have a strong case. But if the child is not being neglected, you have an uphill battle. But it also works in the same aspect. If you have a visitation agreement in place, if that person violates that visitation, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. You still can take that up to court and say this is a violation of the custody, and that there's a chance that after so many times that custody can get overturned.
So let me ask you, did that happen to you in your case? Was it visitation getting violated? And if so, how did you act on it?
It was not necessarily the visitation, but that would have taken a long time. It was more so the treatment and the medical issues that she had, the neglect, which landed the case for me.
Okay. Now, from my understanding, you was end up able to get custody of her, and then 8 to 12 months later, they end up taking custody back. Do you care to talk about why that happened?
Okay, yeah, too easy. So I had spent about almost $10,000 on this particular lawyer already, and I ended up winning the case. The lawyer was even surprised that I won the case, because she didn't realize that I had all that documentation available, and because she was just trying to get a quick buck, but I ended up winning. So my daughter's mother filed an appeal immediately, saying that we didn't have the right to give custody because she didn't live in the state. So I lived in Virginia. She lived in Maryland at the time we started the case. By the time it got to trial, she had already moved to New York. And you only have to have 6 months in any state to establish residency. She had 7 months. So by virtue of neither one of us residing in the same state at the time of the trial, the courts didn't have jurisdiction to grant custody of her to me. So fast forward 1 year later, we're in the Court of Special Appeals. That's a court where you have 4 judges, a 4-judge panel. And on that panel, they determine whether or not they don't care what your evidence is, what you prove in court or whatever case. If you have no jurisdiction, it's going back to square one. So I ended up paying another $15,000 to the judge, to the lawyer for the Court of Special Appeals case. I was in there for 10. No, let's not say 10 seconds. I was in there for about a minute. They said, well, I'm sorry, you didn't have jurisdiction. The courts didn't have jurisdiction. We're reversing the custody order. Have a good day. $15,000. Less than a minute, bro. Gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how that happened. So I wasn't spending $15,000 to try this whole thing all the way over again in New York, bro. I wasn't doing it. So I just prayed on it and I let it go, man, because it was weighing me down. I mean, emotionally, it was just dragging me down. I was a whole different person. So once I, just I let it go and I stopped worrying. I gave it over to God. I said, hey, look, I can't take it no more. Hey, I'm tired of worrying. I put it in your hands. You do what you got to do. So it wasn't until like after that, it was years later, but my daughter started figuring it out. She's like figuring out that the stuff that I was saying wasn't a lie. The stuff that I said I did wasn't a lie. And when she started seeing the proof and hearing from her other siblings how, oh man, your dad is awesome. Your dad is this. Your dad is that. Man, I wish my dad was like that. She started to look and be like, dang, he is. So now she feels she's kind of boxed in the corner because she only knows her mother, but she knows that her mother wasn't telling the truth. And she's kind of in between because she wants to give me the opportunity, but she's kind of scared because she still doesn't know me like that, So that goes back to what you were saying, Sean Davis, about, hey, make sure you respect the mother, man. No, dog. After that long, no, bro. I can't do it no more, bro.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
And how old is your daughter now, Daniel?
She about to be 17.
Oh wow.
So all that time is gone, bro.
Wow.
So all that keep the peace stuff, all that be nice, out the door. There's only a certain amount of years you can take, bro. 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Okay, got it. I got time to rebound. My daughter's almost grown. That time is gone, bro. How I'm gonna mentor her and keep her, give her a level mind so that she don't get out there and get hurt or get brutalized and all that kind of stuff. How I'm gonna teach her that in 5 minutes, man? You know what I'm saying? That's a lifetime worth of learning. You have to be there for your daughter and stuff like that, man. So I understand where you're coming from because it's easy for us to get in trouble, especially being black men. But it's tough, bro, because it's always the guys who are civil, the guys who try to do the right thing. Right. We're the ones who get the deal. The guys who don't care about their kids, nobody care. Nope, they don't get put on child support, nothing. Nobody cares because they ain't worth nothing. They ain't about nothing. But when you buy something, they're gonna hold it against you. That's how it is.
And that's the thing I never understood is we always hear the negative that black men are absentee fathers. We don't care for our children. We just don't do right by our kids. But as Hightower, when I talk about this, and as he said earlier, there is not one black man that I know of that is not active in his child's life if he can be. And it's strictly always because the woman is keeping that man from that child. And like you said, them brothers that go pop 20 kids out and don't care, them the ones that still got women running up wanting to have kids with them. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
So I learned this over the years. Women want a nice guy with thug qualities. They want a thug with nice qualities, or that's what it seemed like to me. Because because when I was younger, I'd be like, dude, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm being nice, I'm being respectable, I'm doing all that, and they're like, nah, I want a thug. I want somebody who gonna talk rough to me, rough me up, and So I think it's half and half, though. But
it's
kind of like it
is
half and half. They want a good guy, but they want a thug at the same time. Somebody that they can feel safe with. And when you're too nice, women feel like you ain't really, I guess, masculine or strong enough to be able to feel safe with. So I don't know.
And see, and that's the funny thing. And that's the funny thing about what you say. Women have to understand, being that braggadocious thug is not being masculine. It takes more maturity and takes more masculinity to be a soft-spoken and a genteel man that is willing to compromise and work with a woman to build something than that brother out there just wanting a raw dog and run through as many women as possible. They got priorities mixed up. Now, it's not all women, so let's not label it like that, but it just seems like the women that want that type of brother are the women that don't value that type of brother. They always talk about they want a good man, but when you get one, you do everything in your damn power to do everything in your power to make him feel less than a man. Again, just my take on it.
I agree. I want to thank you, brother Daniel, for sharing your experience, man. If you would you mind hanging around with us for a little bit? Brother Daniel, can you hear us?
I didn't hear you, brother. It was breaking up.
Okay, I said we thank you for sharing your experience with us. Would you mind hanging around with us for a little bit?
If I capture what you said, I think you said hanging around a little bit.
Right. Am I breaking up?
Okay, I got you. Yeah, you good now.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Daniel Salley in regards about child custody. We're about to take a small commercial break, and after the commercial break, we're going to bring up Attorney Bowen, who will tell you how to find a good lawyer and some of the things that you need to take heed to when it comes to fighting child custody battles. Stick with us after the break.
Many people are tired of typical pharmaceutical drugs that have major side effects and causes addictions. The federal government has legalized CBD in all 50 states. CBD binds to the CB pain receptors in your body. The Houston Health and Wellness Company offers many products that could help you immensely. The consumer favorite gummies are delicious edibles that you can take and attain immediate relief. The tincture is a CBD product in liquid form that you place under your tongue that also comes in a variety of flavors. For those aching joints and muscles, Houston CBD has a full-spectrum salve with various all-natural ingredients that will help provide relief. They even have CBD for dogs. Yes, CBD for dogs. Botana oil from Dr. Sebi's Usha Village. It's an all-natural oil from the Botana plant that has been known to help hair grow at a rapid rate. It can be used as a moisturizer for your skin. Best of all, it's all natural. They also have elderberry syrup for your immune system. Go to www.houstonscbd.com. That's Houston with an S, CBD.com.
Welcome to Houston's Notary, the fastest and most efficient mobile notary service. Houston's Notary pride itself on following up with their customers and making them feel at ease. Houston's Notary has the finest notaries that provides many services, such as loan closings, fingerprints, cash outs, affidavits, wills, trust, power of attorneys, employment verification, documents for immigration, and legal documents. Wow! So many services that all you have to do is call. Toll free 1-844-292-5562 or 713-956-6485 or visit HoustonsNotary.com. Let us be your notary.
Hello, my name is Bo Bowen. I'm here to welcome you to our family, the Bowen Law Firm. Here at the Bowen Law Firm, we offer the wide gamut of legal services. We offer family law, meaning divorces with and without children, modifications, enforcements, adoptions, and terminations.
Hello, my name is Daniel Salley. I'm one of the attorneys here at the Bowen Law Firm. I focus on the family law aspect of the legal department. We do everything from divorce with children, divorce without children, property division, custody, modification, enforcement, protective order, CPS cases, habeas. If you have any questions regarding any area in the family law, feel free to call us at 713-574-7777. Thank you.
Here at the Bowen Law Firm, we do what it takes to ensure our clients are prepared and ready for what's coming ahead, even if we have to get them in one of these. Bowen Strong.
I don't think I look.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Men Talk Show, Leo Tower. And I guess daylight savings time was trying to start early about 30 seconds ago because the ticker had stopped. But hey, welcome back to the show. We're here talking to Daniel Salley in regards to child custody. Now we're about to bring up attorney Bowen, who is a TSU graduate as well as a military veteran. He's going to tell you all how to go about finding a lawyer, the things to look for when you're looking for a lawyer, and how the advantages and disadvantages can be when seeking a child custody battle. I'd like to welcome none other than attorney Bo Bowen. Mr. Bowen, how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Good, thank you for joining us. So tell us, Mr. Bowen, after hearing some of the conversation, talking about child custody battle, hearing the story of Daniel Salley, going across the water, serving this country, coming back to try to be a good father, still fighting the court system. Brother Sean talked about he ain't seen his child in 2 years, and a lot of other men. So I know this is not a story that you haven't heard before. What is some of the advice that you would give, and what is some of the things that you would tell men that's looking to probably try to get a custody battle or even just fighting for visitation?
I would say don't give up. And as much as I heard about not working and putting up with a lady, you really need to, especially if you're trying to get custody. Because if you take off the other side, there's no way you're ever going to be working together. And what I have found, if the man wants the child, 9 out of 10 times they're giving up child support. That's been the number one factor that's been determinative. And when you really look at the big picture, when it comes to a trial, after you do that 3.5 to 4 year process, you will spend a minimum of $100,000 to $300,000. And I didn't make that. The cost of court are exorbitant. A day of depositions is very expensive. They can exceed $12,000. You didn't pay your attorney a dime. Yes, this is why we don't want to go to trial. And also what I have found when we do go that long route to trial, all we did was make the parties get further apart. There's no possible way to bring them back together to help them actually be able to co-parent, especially after you've been fighting with each other for 3.5 years. Dumped $100,000 minimum or more. No one's happy about that. You just aired all of your dirty laundry and the deepest secrets about everyone in a public forum that's now on Facebook Live for the world to see. And now because a judge slams the gavel, you're supposed to magically start working together? It's not how people work. And in all reality, they also need the mom as much as they need the dad. I know it's hard, but I ask parents to try to put the past behind them, focus on the future, and again, what's best for the child. That's how the standards in the court, best interest of the child. I've gotten plenty of dads, their kids, but again, the number one factor I've seen them give up, which I think is ridiculous, was child support. But when you add it up, what they would have got for child support, they would have paid more in trial. It was easier to give it up. So in essence, what they would have got from the mother in child support, they'd have paid more in trial. Why not just give that up and go with what we need?
Wow.
So, I don't know any women giving up child support to get the kids, though. It doesn't happen very often. But the opposite is true. And you're right. We do have an uphill battle if we want to go get our kids. And Harris Montgomery, for the country we get, the harder it is. And I don't care what a jury says. There's an inherent bias that the mom is better. All things being equal, they go to the mom.
So, Attorney Bowen, let me ask you: when you have men coming to your office just trying to fight for custody, even trying to fight for visitation, what do you recommend? What do you tell them? I know you just stated they need to get along with the parent, but what if they can't get along?
Well, I want them to do their best, right? You're always killing the other party with kindness, at least when you're documenting. You can bitch all you like off the camera. You can do the mean email, but don't send it. You got to be able to show the court or the jury that you're the parent who is co-parenting, that you're the one who's not the problem. It's the other party. And when you're able to do that, they're going to give you the child, in my opinion. Most of the time, male or female, the person who's trying to do what's best for the child and trying to work with the other party is the one that normally gets the child.
Interesting.
And also, he hit on something very good. Usually it is he said, she said by the time we get to court. Even though I keep asking them to document. Documents are going to win today. Don't expect them to trust you. Show them they can trust you. They give me a chance to set the other side up. And they go, oh, you mean this phone call? He made that statement and you recorded it like I asked you to. And I get to play it. We don't have to guess anymore. It don't take much to lose face in court. And once it's gone, it's gone. And you get that by documenting, by having that pin camera, by having that dash cam. The eye in the sky doesn't lie, but people do.
Oh, that's true. So, can't hear you, Brother Shy.
I was saying I never thought about the dash cam and having that when you're doing the exchange, because I just, there's been many a time she just got ticked at me and wouldn't give me my son for visitation and just drove off with him.
And that's
I
when
never
you
thought about that.
It has everything done for you, the time and date. You then call the police, you do a police report. And then I want people, as I ask them to do follow-up texts. Even if they're recording phone calls, it doesn't matter. Follow-up text, follow-up message, something, but pick some medium and follow it. If it's a bad phone call, bad discussion, I'm sorry we had a bad time today. I didn't mean to offend you, but this is not the way to co-parent. As I was trying to tell you, we need this, and this. Or if it's a great phone call, even better. Hey, thank you. Today was fantastic. We're finally co-parenting. As we discussed, you're going to do this, and this. And I'm going to do this, and this. Cover your butt throughout the process. And there's never any excuse to attack the other party. You're only going to lose, especially as the male. We are not allowed to somehow have anger and feelings like anyone else, especially in a custody battle.
So Attorney Bowen, so you're saying to those men out there that's listening, that's possibly trying to get visitation or child custody, they definitely need to document everything, correct?
When in doubt, you document and you kill with kindness. Get pissed later. It pays off in the end. Once you got your kid, it's a little bit easier. But let me get them first.
So let me ask you this: a person such as myself that probably have been on the other side, and I'm not speaking from experience, speaking from other people's experience. They got all this documentation, bring it to you, and sometimes we feel like it's just a rat race. We feel like we're doing paperwork, we bring your paperwork, but once we get to court, it's not really nothing taken on our sides. How can you assure us that the judge and the court is really taking value of the documentation I'm bringing into court?
I never can. That's why I asked for a jury. If things aren't going well for me throughout the process, I'm not leaving it in the judge's hands as much anymore. And juries do give kids to the dad, just like they do to mom. I think they're a little more open. Let's face it, you got more dads on that jury who've gone the same fight. Hopefully they don't strike.
So tell us some of the cases that you probably have worked on that success for men that's listening. Why would they want to hire you as an attorney for them to represent them to get visitation or custody?
Well, me in particular, I like to think I'm going to shoot you straight. You don't have a case, you're going to know right from the beginning. I don't do what's best for my firm. I do what's best for my clients. I'm also known for fighting. I mean, I am a combat vet like you gentlemen. I know how to fight, and I will give my all. We never promise anything, except that we'll do our best. But we're really important when you're picking an attorney. In my humble opinion, you need to pick somebody that fits you, meaning your same morals. You want someone that's going to understand where you're coming from and is going to believe you and your story. And if they do not, you don't want them as your advocate, no matter how good they are. It doesn't matter how expensive or how affordable they are. You want someone who's going to fight for you. In my opinion, you're always based on what your gut says. In addition to doing reviews, you want to check the State Bar of Texas, at least for us, and verify they haven't been in trouble with the state bar. You've been in trouble 2 or more times, I would keep looking. I mean, you can go with that person, but from my experience, it hasn't gone well. Because a bad opposing counsel can make a nightmare of a case. It takes everyone working together to make it smooth. It takes one jerk to make it into a trial. Well, a $5,000 case can turn into a 20, 30, or 100 because of one fool.
Wow.
You also want to check them out on Yelp, Google, Avo, Justia. There's all these variations. Don't just check one site.
Wow. You know, and I never thought about the aspect of, and it's something to think about, because I actually hired a female lawyer to represent me in my upcoming proceedings to get my custody reestablished again with my son. We're divorced. We have visitation already in place. She's just not abiding by it. I've not pushed the issue by showing up with the police and enforcing the visitation because I just wanted to let it prolong and hopefully she would come around. But picking the attorney, I did just what you said. I picked a woman that I felt would fight for me just as hard as she would the woman on her caseload. And I believe she is going to do that. So I totally agree and understand what you say. Find somebody that has the same moral value, that is going to understand your plight and help you work to get what you want to achieve. I never would have thought about using hiring a female lawyer before because I just couldn't understand a woman having compassion for a man in a case like this. But she proved otherwise. So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, man. Find somebody that's compatible with you.
That's right. You're going to be with them for a while. And if it doesn't go the right way, as Mr. Daniel knows, you may be back in court again with that person.
And hopefully it doesn't get to year 17 and then you're still trying. So that is, the earlier the better. I can definitely attest to that. And one thing I will say, Attorney Bowen, that one thing I haven't heard, this is the first time I've heard this, and since I've been going to court, and I think I've been in so many scenarios, it ain't even funny. But as far as having a jury, I've never heard that. Right. It's always been me.
Use it.
Yeah. That's probably the greatest piece of advice for me, that's the greatest piece of advice that I did not even think about.
Attorney Bowen, would you care to expand on that to those who may not understand the benefit of going to trial and having a jury?
Well, the benefit is instead of one person making all the decisions, which is the judge, they're going to be involved no matter what. A judge is always going to make decisions regarding decisions about law, right? Rules of law. When it comes to questions of fact, that's going to be the jury, if you have a jury. And if you pick a good one that's obviously sympathetic to your case, heck, you could have a case you would normally lose in front of a judge and you can win it. We're taking away the power, at least some of it, from the judge. Don't get me wrong. They still have enough power. They can still sway it. But typically what the jury wants, the judge is going to do, because they're also elected officials.
Right.
And now that things are on Facebook, it's even that much more public. I think it's helped a little bit. Well, it's helped and hurt. Wow. I don't want my wife going on the Facebook telling everything she knows about me on it.
You just don't know what you said right there. You just don't know how many times I've wanted to get on Instagram and Facebook and air her ass out, but I just have not done it. And I'm gonna tell you, one time I had my keys, I had my phone up and had my fingers on the keys, but my wife stopped me and said, "Don't do that." And I'm so glad she did, because it would. So I understand what you're saying. Let it rest. Just move on and don't air that dirty laundry.
Learn how to let it be. Otherwise, you're going to have a rough life. She's not going anywhere. Just because the kid turns 18, they're still going to be there. They're going to graduate from college. They're going to meet somebody. They're going to have kids. You're going to have grandkids. All that stuff involved, that person's going to be there. And if you can't figure out how to let it go, like water off a duck's back, I'm sorry, you're going to be miserable. Don't let them control your life that way. You've experienced enough because of them.
Brother, you are preaching to the choir. I had to learn that the hard way. And I also had to learn not to be so angry and confrontational. That was my biggest lesson for myself. So that's why I said at the beginning, I encourage the brothers, don't badmouth the mother. Be as pliable as you can, because when you are that individual that will work with the mother in any way possible just to keep that relationship with your kid going, that kid eventually will start to see for themselves who is the bad guy in the whole scenario.
It does come around. It may take them a while, but I have heard plenty of stories where they're going, "Thank you. You were right. I took the high road. It wasn't easy." But we all know as parents that kids do not give a damn what we tell them. You can talk till you're blue in the face, but they will copy what you do, because it's a hell of a lot harder to show them than it is to tell them. Take that high road. Make it easy. Make it easy for them to follow that right path. They will follow it.
So let me ask you this, Attorney Bowen, before I let my co-host and special guest ask you a question. To those men that may be watching this show and that may just be trying to just get visitation and don't know which way to go, what would you recommend for those that's in the state of Texas that's looking, that can't see their kid but do have rights but not able to get the visitation?
Well, please keep in mind that if you're paying child support, it doesn't mean you get access. And whether or not you're getting access, keep paying that child support. Because if you don't keep paying that child support, you probably won't get any access. But they are separate issues. So again, keep paying the support through the Attorney General's office. Don't be giving any cash on the side. Don't be cutting checks. Everything goes through the AG. Otherwise, you won't get credit. Then I want you to make sure you're following the court orders and you're supposed to show up. I don't care if mom says you're not getting them and you know you're not going to get them. You must do your part or you won't have a case. Then you must show up, prove that you were there, call the police. You're going to have a relationship with them by the time this is done, so be nice. Get a police report, and then you do it again. And you can start with one. Once you've got three, in my opinion, that's more than enough. Let's go ahead and go to court and show them they're not doing their part. It's called an enforcement. And we're going to try to enforce that. They keep doing that enough, and it'll put us in a position to ask to modify the orders, which is a different lawsuit, to ask for you to be the primary custodian, so you're now in charge of this stuff instead of the other party, assuming that's what you want. Right. But the good thing about an enforcement proceeding is that if you're successful or we're successful, you should also get back an order from the court for them to pay your reasonable and necessary attorney's fees. It's a nice, oh yeah, for not following the court orders. Or I will warn you, if you have orders in place and they're not constantly following them, you could inadvertently waive your rights. And then they can go back to court and ask to modify the orders to reflect what y'all have been doing. So a person who rests on his rights, again, can inadvertently waive them. So I like the whole working with the other party, but you have to make for sure they know that you have rights and you will assert them if they continue to violate the court order. Because in it, it says you are allowed, at least most divorce decrees or modifications, will say the parties are allowed to exchange and access visitation wherever they want as long as you agree. It's when you don't agree that the court orders go into place. That's when you know that's your default. That's your must-do minimums. So be careful before you give too much away.
It's good information.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Attorney Bo Bowen and Special Guest Daniel Salley talking about child custody as well as visitation. If you have any questions, please post it in the comment. Until then, Brother Sean, our Brother Daniel, do y'all have any questions for Attorney Bowen?
Brother Salley, go ahead, and then I've got one if you have one.
Well, thank you, sir. I think you done an excellent pitch, Attorney Bowen. And if I was a smart guy living in Texas, I probably would jump on that bandwagon and probably hire this gentleman immediately, like yesterday. But also in addition to that, you have to make sure you utilize your resources. All your buddies, you got to ask questions. Don't try to figure it out on your own. Don't try to reinvent the wheel and just say, I don't know how to get custody. I don't know how to do it. You got to ask questions, and platforms like this. And again, thank you, Leotis, for putting this together, because this is spreading a lot of knowledge throughout the world, if not the United States. But it's very important to make sure you have a support group as far as people that you can trust that have been there, and not just people who don't know what they're talking about. The people who've actually been there are genuinely concerned about your well-being and you being in your children's life. So the support group, that's my advice.
Thank you.
And thanks again for having me.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Always. Attorney Bowen, what I had a question on is, if you're already divorced, you have the custody agreement already set, that individual is not allowing you to see that child. You mentioned something that you should try 3 different instances where you arrange for that child to be picked up, they don't show up, and at that third one, after you file that third police report, then you have sufficient evidence. So is that the best route to go?
The first one's enough, technically. I like to have more to show this wasn't just an accident.
Okay. Now, the second half to that would be, if you have not, so for example, if you've not had that child in your life for a minute, should you still go through the steps of going through the police and getting the police report when they don't show up? Or should you just, hey, I'm not even going to waste my time and go get an attorney and just take them straight to court for contempt?
If you don't do your part, they don't have to do theirs.
Yeah.
So it's like insurance. It's called a condition precedent. So if you don't report your collision to the insurance company, they don't have to pay on your claim. There's a timeline, right? It's the same thing here. If you didn't show up like you're supposed to get your visits, you can't claim they didn't do anything wrong. So they didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do your part. Again, even if you know they're not going to. It depends on how long you haven't seen the child, the harder it is. You're talking 10, 15 years. Yeah, I don't blame the parent for not giving the child to you just because you showed up out of the blue. But to hold them for an enforcement, you're going to have to. But they're going to get a modification, and the court's not going to hold them in trouble. But what's going to happen is it'll get you in the door to at least get to a stair step so that eventually you can get to that standard possession order. Because frankly, no one's going to throw you a kid you haven't seen for 10 years to go, oh, there you go, have fun, Dad. No, because it's not about what you want, and it's not about what the wife or the mom wants. It's about what is best for the child. And that is based on an old case called Hawley versus Adams. You can bring it up online. Look at the factors. Those factors are the ones that a court is going to determine what is the best interest of the child. And the more that fit you, the better it is your case you're going to win. There's not one that wins it all. But I did put something in the chat for guys like Daniel. If you ever get stuck, and I know everyone can't afford an attorney, I get it. It is cost prohibitive at times. But on Texas, if there's ever an area of law that you can do it yourself, it's family law. And that's because the state has made an enormous amount of resources available to pro se applicants. Pro se is basically means you represent yourself. But it's called TexasLawHelp.org. 9 out of 10 times when I see pro se people who did it and got the job done, not as well as an attorney, no. But if you got the job done and they're protected as second best, it's through that website. And it has step-by-steps. It walks you through it. It gives you links to the law. And keep in mind, also as a pro se person, the county has all kinds of resources available to you, like law libraries. They normally employ attorneys to help pro se applicants. So if you have the wherewithal, the resources are out there. So when I hear people say, oh, no, I don't know, I don't have it, BS. You haven't worked in, you haven't tried. I'm not going to make excuses for you. We're not victims. Lead by example. They're out there. It's all online, and you can get it done in person if you go downtown. They'll work. They'll help you. But you have to have the oomph to go and do it. Mm-hmm. If it's that important to you, you'll do it. Mm-hmm. And also, attorneys will do limited scope employment now. I don't offer it as much, meaning you can hire an attorney just to draft your documents and review the stuff you've done and just give you advice instead of having to do the full services that people are more common. So you do have options. You can always ask again for limited scope services.
Limited scope.
Limited scope.
Limited scope employment, limited scope services. Yes, sir.
Interesting. Brother Sean, you have any more questions?
No, it's been very informative, and I appreciate your time, Attorney Bowen. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. I enjoy this stuff.
Same here.
Yeah, you have any more questions?
No, outstanding job, Leotis. And again, like I told you the other day, man, I'm so proud of you for putting this thing together, man. And you keep us ascending every time I talk to you, man. So keep up the good work, brother.
Man, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. First of all, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Thank you in regards to that support group. That means a lot. And that's something the Real Men Talk may end up considering in regards to the show. Attorney Bowen, thank you, man, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come support the show. And anything that you want to tell the people before we get out of here, how they can reach you, how they can get in touch with you, if they want to hire you for a lawyer, go ahead and tell them about you and how they can reach you.
Yes, sir. You can reach us online at www.bowenlf.com. That's BOWENLF as in lawfirm.com. You can also reach us from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We have operators standing by at 713-574-7777. That number again is 713-574-7777.
And you all, thank you very much for tuning to the Real Men Talk Show. We'll be back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. If you haven't already followed the YouTube channel, go to the YouTube channel, The Real Men Talk, like and subscribe and follow us. Thank you all for watching, and thank you very much to the guests and special guests.